Part 12. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 111. Chapter 111 Fan Kinjao, please be more careful. Late at night, everyone who first came out to the mansion in the western suburbs was asleep. Fan Kinjao, who had been busy all day, sat in his yard and worried. The current Hua family is indeed repeating the old path of the previous life. But this section of the journey was a little too early. She has obviously tried hard to change, but in the end she still makes the same mistakes again. The phoenix is reborn from the ashes, but the outcome has been decided and cannot be violated. If you act against nature, you will be punished by heaven. Is it really related to the words that seem to be in a dream but not a dream? Snap dash. A stone suddenly hit him in front of his toes. Fan Kinjao instantly raised her guard and saw a familiar face staring directly at her from the tea house opposite. Ning Han, who had been standing next to his young lady, was also confused. Looking at that handsome face, he felt very suspicious in his heart. Today's prodigal son looks really like a human or a dog. Fan Kinjao didn't want to have anything to do with the person opposite him, so he got up and took Ningguan into the house. Bailey Lingyu, who was lying on the tea house, had no intention of doing anything, but when she saw Fan Kinjao getting up and leaving, she felt unhappy. Young master is also a prince after all, who does this girl think of as heir? If you admit that you are a coward, then leave, and then don't cry when you are laughed at. I said you really should leave. Now that the court is arguing endlessly over the robbery of Hua's house, can you really sleep at night? Fan Kinjao, who was about to cross the threshold, finally stopped. If she was the only one left in the Hua family, of course she wouldn't care how the house was ransacked. If the person in the palace is happy, she will not even blink an eye even if she blows up the Hua family into a hole. But not now. Her grandfather and uncles are still alive, and her mother is still here. There are not many things left in the Hua family, but those are the expectations of all the living people in the Hua family. If everything really disappears, even if everyone in the Hua family is still alive, their hearts will die with them. After thinking about it, Fan Kinjao turned around calmly and said to Ninghan beside him, "Follow me to the tea house opposite." Ninggan nodded, but when he went out, he picked up a wooden pole supporting the door of the house. In the tea house, Bailey Lingyu's throat was about to scream. Looking at Fan Kinjao who was getting closer, he was so moved that he almost cried. This dead girl who doesn't eat anything, I really don't know what her royal brother likes about her. Ninggan opened the door to the private room on the second floor and rushed in before her own lady could walk in. Sitting on a chair, the fifth prince was planning a preemptive strike, but he hadn't even finished his words yet when he saw a little girl holding a wooden pole and poking at him head on. Bailey Lingyu was so frightened that she jumped on the table. "Why are you doing this? Isn't it true that the Hua family are all born in the year of the ox?" Ninghan didn't know Bailey Lingyu's identity. She poked her twice and saw that she was dodged, so she couldn't help but cursed, "You are a shameless scoundrel. You molested my lady in the middle of the night. If others find out, how will my lady behave in the future? I grew up beside the queen from an early age, and even the 5 princes who had never been hit by the wind and rain were all scolded." Upon seeing this, Ninggan raised the wooden pole again. Fan Kinjao stopped him. "Ninggan must not be rude to His Highness the 5th Prince." Ninggan was stunned. This time she was confused. Mainly because she really didn't expect that a dignified prince could do such a disgraceful thing. But no matter what, he is still a prince, and it is her turn to use swords and guns. She quickly bowed her knees and turned around to leave. Bailey Lingyu grabbed the man but didn't say anything. He specifically pointed at his face to let Ninggan take a closer look. Ninggan was so frightened that she opened her mouth and said, "What else do you want to do, you scoundrel?" Bailey Lingyu. "I'm so handsome and handsome, who do you think is a street gangster?" Ningan knew that she had said the wrong thing again. This time she didn't even dare to stay in the house and stood outside the door without looking back. The room suddenly became quiet. Bailey Lingyu really had a sore throat. He took the teapot and drank a drink from the cow before wiping his chin and saying, "Fan Kinjao, tell me what's wrong with you? You have to be in shape and have a bad temper. It seems like you have a pretty face, but there is really no shortage of good-looking women in the main city. How can you make my royal brother obsessed with you? Tell me the truth, are you going to fall for my royal brother? What kind of ecstasy?" Fan Kinjao listened expressionlessly, turned around and left after a while. Bailey Lingyu. Look at what he said, no one is as stubborn as this girl. The Crown Prince of Xiaoqiu took the lead in raiding Hua's house today in the court. My imperial brother is busy with this matter for you. My mother is also acting in front of your father so hard that her voice is hoarse. You are the only one who is happy here. Even if you enjoy the success, you are still so confident. Bailey Lingyu was very angry. And he was even more angry. In fact, he doesn't hate Fan Kinjao from the bottom of his heart, otherwise he wouldn't have bothered to vent his anger late at night. Fan Kinjao actually doesn't want to hear any more news about Bailey Fengming. I don't want to and I don't dare. She will help him sit on the chair, but first she must calm down her heart. But I didn't expect that there are some things where running away as fast as possible is useless. Fan Kinjao closed his eyes, suppressed the rolling emotions in his heart, and said softly, I'd like to trouble your highness to inform you about today's matters. I also ask your highness to tell his highness the crown prince that the affairs of the people's daughters will be handled by themselves. I'm sorry, your highness, I'm sorry. Bailey Lingyu. Why is it different from what you imagined? Normally speaking, shouldn't we be moved? Even if you are not moved, you should still feel a little grateful. He originally wanted to make some subtle moves to impress this girl and then take a step closer to the emperor brother. Result. Isn't this going to kill you? If the emperor knew that he was pushing people away, why not strike him with a palm? Fan Kinjao left the tea house almost under the gaze of the fifth prince, who was about to cry. As soon as she returned to the mansion, she said, Ningan, you go to the Sun family now and ask Miss Sun to come. Ningan nodded and ran away in a hurry. Fan Kinjao sat on the stone bench again. She thought that there would be people who would not let go of the Hua family, but she did not expect that those people would be so impatient. She took the initiative to move out of the general's mansion just to calm the situation, but in the end she only helped the evildoers. If this is the case, then she can no longer sit back and ignore it. The next slap, she not only had to hit it hard, but also had to slap it loudly to shock everyone. Sun Kongtong came very quickly and hurried into the yard. As soon as he saw the thin figure sitting on the stone bench, he started crying before he could say anything. End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 112. Chapter 112. Half the battle is won before the fight begins. Fan Kinjao stood up and wanted to lead Sun Kentong to sit down, but before he could say anything, he was hugged by a bear. Sun Kongtong held the increasingly thin figure in her arms, worried to death. You girl are really scaring me to death. Why did you send someone to find me after such a big thing happened? Fan Kinjao said softly, as the daughter of a guilty minister, I must avoid suspicion. Sun Kentong snorted from his nose, forget it, push the coffin and kneel at the palace gate, defy the heavens and the earth to the ministers. What kind of thing can a daughter of a guilty minister do? Besides, we in the entire main city are among the young ladies, who has been granted the title of county lord by the emperor. It seems that you are the one who stands out. She would never dare to dream of pushing 100 or so coffins into the palace by herself. But Fan Kinjao not only did it, but also saved the lives of everyone in the Hua family. Had her mother not stopped her that day, she would have wanted to accompany Fan Kinjao to push the coffin. Fan Kinjao curled his lips silently, half smiling. The head of Qingping County. No matter how glorious this title may be in the eyes of others, it is a great irony to her. Kinjao, don't worry, I will always be loyal to you. Fan Kinjao. He patted her shoulder helplessly. Is this what loyalty is for? Sun Kantong was unexpectedly stubborn. It doesn't matter what other people think of you, as long as I like you anyway. Fan Kinjao. Continue to pat her shoulder. Sun Kantong was anxious. I've confessed to you like this, why are you still filming? Are you saying that you have someone else outside and don't want me anymore? Or are you afraid of hurting me? I told you that I am not. You're not afraid, so don't worry about anything. You know, I just like you, and others will love you. A few days ago, she went to a banquet with her mother. No matter how the ladies looked at the liveliness of the Hua family, wouldn't they always be sour and jealous when they mentioned the young ladies of the Hua family? For this reason, she rolled up her sleeves and had a quarrel with the sour ladies. She didn't care what others said. Anyway, she decided that Fan Kinjao was a lifelong matter. Fan Kinjao was really helpless. I can't breathe. Sun Kongtong seemed to have thought of something, and quickly released his paws from the bear hug. Fan Kinjao also smiled when he saw Sun Kongtong's nervous look. She knew that Sun Kongtong had his own opinions, but she didn't expect that Sun Kongtong could be so determined. Of course, she will not refuse this kindness, but she will silently make a note of it and will definitely pay it back twice as much one day. Sun Kongtong was actually relieved to see that Fan Kinjao didn't say anything depressing. She just likes this kind of indifferent and always calm Fan Kinjao. If Fan Kinjao really pulls her to cry and complain about the sorrow of spring and autumn, then she really doesn't know what to do. The two of them sat on a stone bench in the yard and chatted for a while. Fan Kinjao brought the topic to Prince Xiaoqiu. Sun Kongtong was stunned for 3 seconds before blurting out, that scumbag is a who wastes food even when he eats. Fan Kinjao was always scolded and made a little dazed. She knew that Prince Xiaoqiu was not very good, but she did not expect that he would fail to such an extent. Kinjao, you don't know that the crown prince of Xiaoqiu often caused trouble and did evil in the main city because of his father who was a prince. I thought he would stop after King Rui died, but it turned out that during this period, it's gotten even worse. Sun Kongtong didn't dislike it either. He directly picked up Fan Kinjao's teacup and took a sip. Then he wiped his chin and said, but one thing to say, I am really grateful to the person who got rid of King Rui. Although there is only one person left, my son is still disorganized, but at least he has eliminated a pest in our main city. How did the indignant Sun Kantong know that the great hero she had always admired was actually far away and right in front of her eyes? Of course, Fan Kinjao wasn't going to brag about anything. She just said, Kongtong, I want you to help me check something out. Sun Kongtong nodded without even thinking about it. You tell me. I want to know everything about Crown Prince Xiaoqiu, the more detailed the better. Sun Kantong was stunned, and after a long time he finally let out a sigh of relief. Even though she didn't know how the Crown Prince Xiaoqiu, who dominated the main city all day long, offended Fan Kinjao, when she thought of Zhao Jianjia's lessons learned, she couldn't help but silently mourn for Crown Prince Xiaoqiu. Sun Kongtong has been traveling around with Mrs. Sun since she was a child, attending various banquets in the main city. It can be said that it is not difficult at all to inquire about a person, especially a person who is full of evil. So much so that at noon the next day, she came over in person to deliver the news. Fan Kinjao silently wrote down Sun Kantong's words. After sending the person away, he picked up a pen and screamed out the main things before calling Ningguan over again. Go and check, she said, and handed over the list written in her hand. Ningguan nodded, carefully compiled the list, and hurried out the door. Fan Kinjao called Nanny Su over again. Help me leave a message for the Princess of Heshuo County. Nanny Su has been in the Hua family for more than 30 years, and she also knows that Prince Gen Heshuo was somewhat moved when the master was still there. Now after hearing this, she just thinks that the young lady plans to continue to help the master maintain Gen He. Regarding the relationship with Shuojun Prince's mansion, I didn't ask much and just went ahead and took care of it. Hua Yuelian walked over anxiously, holding several letters in her hand. Yuier, the maid found this in the gap of the back door. Fan Kinjao opened the letters one by one, his brows furrowed. These letters were secretly sent by several ants. Thanks to their diligence, they found out here so quickly. It's just that the Hua family is not completely stable yet, and even if they come back, they will just follow the swing together. Mom, please write a few replies to your aunts later. Don't let anyone send them to you, just leave them where the maid will find them. Someone will take them away in the evening. Hua Yuelian was a little hesitant. After all, they were a family. Yu Yatter, are you really not going to let your aunts come over? Fan Kinjao nodded. Now is not the time. Hua Yuelian became even more worried after hearing this. Those sisters-in-law want to come back now because they are worried about the friendship they have had with the Hua family for so many years. But if time goes by, facing those rumors and future poverty, I am afraid that no matter how deep the love is, it will fade away. Fan Kinjao looked at his mother's worried look, gently held her hand and smiled. They are from our Hua family. No matter how long they wander outside, they will eventually come back. Ruo Xian is not here to begin with. It's better to just break up from now on. Hua Yuelian seemed a little stubborn. Yuier, people's hearts will eventually change. I wonder if those people in the Fan family were still talking to her and never leaving her? Fan Kinjao was still smiling. Mother, we all have to learn to believe again. Crescent Moon. Don't worry, Mother, I will accompany you. It's okay if you don't believe it now, one day you will believe it again. Hua Yulian looked at her daughter, who was smiling and so calm and tenacious in front of her, and finally couldn't help crying and nodded. A little later, Nanny Su came back and brought good news. Little miss, the Prince of Heshuo County has accepted the post, and the Princess of Heshuo County invites you to come over and have dinner together tonight. Fan Kinjao didn't expect Princess Heshuo to be so cheerful, so she quickly got up and got ready. Just after she changed her clothes, Ningguan hurried in and said, Miss, everything you want is here. Speaking, he handed over a thick envelope. Fan Kinjao weighed the heavy envelope and curled his lips silently. This battle is already half won before it is even fought. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 113. Chapter 113. The Disguise of the White Lotus. Heshuo County Prince's Mansion is also a relatively large residence in the main city. Prince Heshuo moved from the south of the Yangtze River to the main city after being granted a title, so his mansion is not as magnificent as other mansions in the main city. There are many small bridges and flowing water built throughout the mansion, but it is so graceful that it makes people feel relaxed and happy. The Princess of Heshuo County has been waiting for news about Fan Kinjao, and even sent people to find out about it personally. As a result, the person she sent had not responded yet, but her nephew, who had returned from far away, mentioned the news about Fan Kinjao first. It was from the words of her nephew Xiao Hongfei that the Princess of Heshuo County found out that the girl who saved her that day was actually the famous lady from the Hua family in the main city. No wonder the medical skills are so good, she is so lucky to meet him. But what shocked Princess Heshuo even more was that her nephew said that he met Fan Kinjao in Huicheng. The Princess of Heshuo County used to follow the Princess of Heshuo County across the country and across the country. She knew that Huicheng was dangerous. Although she didn't know why Fan Kinjao went to Huicheng, no girl dared to do such a thing. His courage and courage are enough for her to admire. Just as he was thinking about it, he saw Fan Kinjao entering the door led by the maid. The princess of Heshuo County stood up and went to greet her personally, and even took Fan Kinjao's hand. It's really hard to find a place after wearing iron shoes. It took no effort to get here. Earlier, my county prince also said that he admired your family very much, Grandpa. If I knew you were from the Hua family, I would have paid a visit long ago. When Fan Kinjao heard this, he knew that Princess Heshuo should have heard about him from Xiao Hongfei's mouth. Princess Heshuo is serious. There have been too many things happening at home recently. Otherwise, as a junior, I should have come to see her early. The princess is. Unexpectedly, Fan Zhao and his party actually delivered the person safely as promised. After she finished the matter at hand, she also went to Qingnanzai to have a look. Since Princess Heshuo knew about the turmoil in the Hua family, she couldn't help but hold Fan Kinjao's hand and sigh with emotion for a while. But after all, the person sitting on it is the 9th 5-year-old noble of Ziliang. Even if she is a county princess, she would not dare to peck her. Even though Fan Kinjao had something on his mind, he was not in a hurry and just chatted with Princess Heshuo calmly. The more you need something, the less you can rush it. Talking about things is like seeing a doctor. You can get twice the result with half the effort by taking a steady approach. Princess Heshuo County really didn't expect that the little girl in front of her was even more powerful than she imagined. Faced with such great turmoil in the Hua family, she could still sit in front of her and talk about the Hua family without hesitation. If it were any other daughter, she would have burst into tears and not want to mention it again. She is indeed a girl who has caused a sensation in the entire main city by herself. It's truly extraordinary. The two people were chatting when a burst of noise came from outside the door. Immediately afterwards, a young woman was seen rushing in, followed by maids in 2s and 3s. The woman looks delicate but her face is a little pale, but she is well dressed, and her swollen belly is particularly eye-catching. As soon as the woman saw Princess Heshuo, she knelt on the ground directly. Princess, I beg you, let the king come and see me. Since the last time the princess fell ill, the king has never visited me. I can't eat or sleep in the yard during this time. I'm really uneasy. The face of the princess of Heshuo County is also a little ugly. She was a dignified princess after all. Once the smile on her face disappeared, her whole aura became more imposing. Looking at the person kneeling in front of her, Princess Heshuo didn't know whether she should be angry or embarrassed. After all, there are still guests present. Before Princess Heshuo could figure out how to resolve the situation, she saw Fan Kinjao standing up. I am not a talented woman. I just saw that the screen behind the princess is very special. I just couldn't help but want to take a look. The princess of Heshuo County nodded quickly and said, when you come to my place, it's like going home. Feel free to go and see it. Fan Kinjao saluted, thank you so much, princess. Seeing Fan Kinjao walking towards the back room, Princess Heshuo County was really relieved from the bottom of her heart. But more than anything, she was grateful and pleased. This smart girl made herself owe her a favor again. After calming down, Princess Heshuo waved her hands to the maids who had been trying to pull the woman away. After the maids lowered their heads and retreated, she looked at the woman and said, Anru, you should know that I don't have much involvement in the king's affairs. If you want to go to the king directly, you can do it like this. I came to make trouble and disturbed my guests. You are indeed the prince's savior, but you are not mine. Anju had a bad look at first, but when he was frightened by the princess's aura, he even trembled all over. But she had no intention of leaving. Instead, she kowtowed heavily to the princess of Heshuo County. The prince always takes the princess into his heart. Even when I first became the princess of the county, I can hear the prince calling the princess's name in his sleep. The princess must not create a gap with the prince just because of my appearance, otherwise the prince will definitely be worried. Hearing this, Princess Heshuo's hands turned white under her sleeves. You do care about the prince. She doesn't need to know from others whether the prince has her in his heart, especially those who have slept with him. How could she not feel angry or hurt when she thought that when she was worried that the king would not have peace all day long, the king was having fun with other women outside? Anru shrunk her shoulders, and when she raised her head, she looked at Princess Heshuo with her pitiful eyes. I know you don't like me, but what I am carrying in my belly is the flesh and blood of the prince. Please, please princess, please be merciful and ask the prince to spend more time with me, even if it's just for the sake of the child. I said, I will never interfere in the king's affairs. The prince has never complained about the fact that the princess has no children, but I know that the prince really wants a child of his own. Does the princess really want to make the prince childless? The prince is just worried the princess is sad. She told me before that when the child is born, the child will be adopted into the name of the princess. In the outer hall, Anju cried bitterly. Behind the screen in the back room, Fan Kinjao's eyes darkened after hearing this. The words were all mentioned for this purpose, and she understood the general idea clearly. She knew in her last life that the prince was attacked by enemy spies when he went south and was missing for a long time. I was afraid that this Anju girl had saved the prince at that time, and had a relationship with the prince and was pregnant with a child. It's just that Anju behaves in an innocent manner, but what he says is not that simple. Women in a position like the Princess of Heshuo County have a proud self-esteem, and every word that woman just said was no less than a knife in the heart of the Princess of Heshuo County. Boom dash. A heavy sound suddenly sounded. Immediately afterwards, Anru's screams of pain and Princess Heshuo's screams of pain were heard in the outer hall. Fan Kinjao quickly walked out of the screen, only to see Anru sweating profusely and covering her stomach and falling to the ground. Princess Heshuo stood aside in shock, with one hand raised in the air. Lay down. The maid who was coming in to bring tea and water was so frightened when she saw this scene. End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 114. Chapter 114, If I say I can save it, I can save it. The Princess of Heshuo County was so shocked that she forgot what she was supposed to do. Just now she saw Anru kneeling on the ground and kowtowing, and she felt pity for him after all. Because she knew that what Anju said was right, children are innocent. She stood up and tried to help Anru up, but for some reason he fell to the ground. Anru still fell to the ground and screamed in pain. She struggled and stretched out her hand and grabbed the hem of Princess Heshuo's skirt. Princess, don't blame yourself. I know Princess didn't mean it. Princess just treat it as if I accidentally fell to the ground. Hearing these words, the Princess of Heshuo County changed from fright to panic. Things happened so suddenly and so fast that she didn't even know what was going on. After listening to Anru's words, she instinctively began to doubt me, whether she was really careless. You, all of you, don't say anything. No, no matter how the king forces you, don't speak out about this matter. It's all my fault. I didn't protect this child. No matter how the prince punishes me, I will do it willingly. Anru was still holding tightly on the skirt of Princess Heshuo County, but her words were addressed to the maid at the door. The Princess of Heshuo County listened blankly, and then she lowered her head and looked at Anru for a while. To be honest, this was the first time she had looked at this woman. Even if Ziliang's country was open to the public, it was normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, but when the king really brought this woman back, she still had too much resistance. Even she didn't want to take another look at this woman. But now she realized that this woman's appearance was really pure. No wonder the prince was moved by her. Actually, now that I think about it, it wouldn't be a big deal if this woman became the aunt in the county prince's palace. Princess, please don't blame yourself. It's all my fault. I will explain it to the princess. Anru's breath became obviously unstable, and even the hand holding the hem of her skirt slowly loosened. No matter how proud Princess Heshuo is, she is not unsympathetic and reasonable, especially someone who has reached this point and can still think about her. In this way, Princess Heshuo's eyes were firm. Seeing Anru's hand slipping from the hem of her skirt, Princess Heshuo didn't even think about holding it. And Ryu, who was lying on the ground, looked at this scene, and her pale lips curved in an imperceptible arc. As expected, the so-called county princess is nothing more than that. A white hand suddenly blocked Princess Heshuo's hand. The onion-like fingers clenched tightly on Anju's wrist. The princess of Heshuo County was stunned. And Ryu was also stunned, and the smile hidden at the corner of her lips disappeared. But soon she grabbed Fan Kinjao's hand and said, "Please don't tell the prince what happened today. How the child will go to heaven has its own destiny. I only hope that the princess will not do it. For this reason it's better to have a quarrel with the prince." Anru cried until her voice became hoarse, but Fan Kinjao remained unmoved. This Anju is really pitiful and heartbreaking, but the unwavering calmness in her eyes betrays her again. Fan Kinjao's ability to read, hear, listen, and listen could be said to be at his fingertips, but she couldn't figure out why Anru would not slander the princess at this time, but instead beg for help to hide it. Unless this Anju is sure that she will tell the king the truth. In other words, Anju knew her. Yes, due to the forced marriage last time, she is now known to everyone in the main city. The affairs of the Hua family are not a secret, and it is not a new thing for Anru to know her. The reason why Anru went so against the grain was that even the princess of the county was deceived by her, thinking that she was some kind-hearted person. I don't know Anru, but she knows very well in her heart that the purpose of her coming here today is to find the king, not the princess. Since she had something to ask the king for help, even if what happened today was just a favor, she would tell the king the truth. Fan Kinjao's eyes became cold, and he looked at Anru calmly and said, "What happened today is indeed your fault." With such a retort, not only Anru who fell on the ground was stunned, but also Princess Heshuo, who was standing beside her with her mind blank in shock, was shocked and came back to her senses. Looking at the expressionless Fan Kinjao, Princess Heshuo was completely dumbfounded. This little girl is not very old, so why is she so arrogant when she speaks? Anru's reaction was still very quick. She simply followed Fan Kinjao's words and said, I know that today is all my fault and has nothing to do with the princess." Fan Kinjao nodded again, "That's indeed true." And Ryu's throat was choked, and the tears in her eyes became even more blurry. As soon as he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Fan Kinjao, "You know that the princess doesn't like you, so aren't you afraid that the princess will be harmful to your child?" Don't tell me you haven't thought about it? This kind of precaution is human nature. No, I just. On the other hand, if you really care about the child in your belly, you should keep it in the yard obediently, instead of running to the princess and kowtowing and kneeling like now. Fan Kinjao's words hit the nail on the head and made Anru's already pale face look even more bloodless. The princess of Heshuo County standing aside had a really ugly face. It is true that she is a woman, but after traveling with the prince for so many years, how can she not be sure? Facing the princess of Heshuo County who suddenly became silent, Anru was secretly surprised and her eyes widened a little unconsciously. It should be a seamless thing, so why is there a loophole? And it was exposed by someone. Anru looked at Fan Kinjao secretly again, so angry that veins popped out on the backs of her hands. This girl. I know that you are a friend of the princess, and you will help the princess hate me, so no matter what you say, I don't blame you. I also said what happened today was because I was careless. This is still true, because the princess didn't push you at all, you fell down yourself. Fan Kinjao pointed to the screen not far away, you only saw me walking into the screen, but you didn't know the screen is made of silk from southern China, and everything can be seen from the inside out. Hearing this, Anru's lips began to tremble subconsciously, and she didn't know how to continue her words. She had calculated everything and deliberately threw away the child while Fan Kinjao was pleading with the princess for the Hua family. No matter how kind she pretends to be now, the princess will become more vicious by then. Because she expected that Fan Kinjao would plead for the Hua family and did not dare to hide it from the county prince. But despite all her calculations, she never expected that Fan Kinjao would be so difficult to deal with. Knowing that if he continued to speak, he would make more mistakes, Anru simply held his stomach and passed out. Fan Kinjao had no intention of being spoiled, so he turned to the princess of Heshuo County and said, "For the sake of the child in her belly, please ask the princess to carry her to a soft bed as soon as possible." The princess of Heshuo County understood everything at this time, and immediately shouted, "Someone is coming! Someone is coming quickly!" End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 115. Chapter 115. It's bad luck for you if you meet me. Several maids hurried in from the yard, and together they carried Anru to the soft couch. Anju still had no reaction, and made up his mind to pretend to be unconscious until the end. No matter what, the child in her belly cannot be saved. In this way, no matter how much Fan Kinjao helps Heshuo County princess, she can still turn the situation around. That person promised her that as long as she provoked a discord between the princess and the king, she would become the mistress here. Of course, this is also the purpose of risking her life this time. A sudden pain in his abdomen caused Anru, who was unprepared, to open his eyes in pain. A dark shadow shrouded his eyes. Anru stared at Fan Kinjao with one hand on her stomach, twisting and dodging. What do you want to do? Of course I will protect the child for you. She doesn't care why Anju wants to provoke the king and the princess, but Anju should never commit sin with the child in her belly. What Anju should not have done was that even she was included in the scheme. She did come here to ask for something, but she would never step on others to achieve her goals. Whether it is the princess of Heshuo County or the unborn child. In this life, she is here to repay debts and take revenge, not to commit evil. After confirming the position of the fetus, Fan Kinjao slowly retracted his hand and rolled up his sleeves. Anru was scared crazy and screamed, "Why do you touch me? What I am carrying in my belly is the king's child. Even if I am of low status, how can the king's child be abused like this by you? This child must not be kept, otherwise she might not be able to hide it." Fan Kinjao saw Anru's panic in his eyes and slowly frowned. Just now when she held Anju's wrist, she felt her pulse, and the child should be. "I know, you must kill my child." Seeing that she couldn't hide, Anru simply bit back and pointed at the princess next to her. It was the princess who instigated it. The princess must have given you some benefit. You are so bold to want to murder her, the prince's child. I will tell him the truth when he comes back. Anju has always been kind and pleasant since he came to the prince's mansion, and he never even takes a breath on weekdays. The current show of teeth and claws, not to mention the maids, were dumbfounded, and even Princess Heshuo was filled with rage. How confused she must be, unable to see clearly this woman's disguise for such a long time. If Kinjao hadn't been a guest today, she would have really been led away by the nose. In an instant, Princess Heshuo's momentum exploded. She pointed at the maids around her and said, "You guys go and hold her down. I want to see who dares to act up in the prince's mansion with me here." Several maids followed the order and walked to the soft couch, and even grabbed Anru. Anru's eyes were really red. Seeing the maids crowding in front of her, she simply pushed out her belly. This was the prince's child, and she wanted to see who dared to be presumptuous. The maids did not dare to touch Anru's belly and froze in place, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, a cool breeze swept across everyone's cheeks. Fan Kinjao didn't know when he held the pole supporting the bed curtain in his hand, and hit Enru on the back of the neck. Anju, who was still acting wildly, instantly fainted on the bed. Fan Kinjao looked at the maids who were all stiff and said, "You don't need to stand here anymore." The maids looked at the pole that Fan Kinjao was still holding in his hand and took several big steps back. The princess of Heshuo County was also frightened, and she even worried a little, will it be broken? After all, the matter has not been made clear to the county king, and she does not want to give Enru another chance to provoke. Fan Kinjao said softly, "I just hit her on the weak point to keep her quiet for a while, Princess Heshuo County. Are all doctors today so violent?" The girls next to me were trembling when they saw it. Their temper was so bad that even if they didn't complain, they would already be a blockbuster. I really don't know where Anju got the courage to act in front of the lady from the Hua family who had a coffin array in front of the palace. Fan Kinjao took out the needle bag he carried with him from his sleeve, and after opening it, he lifted up Enru's clothes. The silver needle in his hand kept flashing with bursts of light, and each silver needle was stabbed into a not very obvious raised place on Anju's lower abdomen in an orderly manner. Fan Kinjao's movements were like flowing clouds and flowing water, and his speed was dazzlingly fast. The princess of Heshuo County couldn't understand acupuncture, but when she saw Enru's face on the bed, her face slowly turned rosy. She knew that the child could be saved. Although this was what she was thinking, it was impossible to really not mind it at all. Since she really didn't want to see Anju's face again, Princess Heshuo went to sit in the outer hall first. Enru himself on the bed had been unconscious for who knows how long. When he opened his eyes again, he saw his still bulging belly. At the same time, Fan Kinjao's voice rang out, "Congratulations, the child was saved." Hearing this, Enru almost fainted. Saved? How come it's saved? Anju shook her head feebly. She had hit it so hard, you lied. Fan Kinjao looked at Enru who was struggling and smiled slightly. He bent down and whispered to her again, "Since you know me, you should know how good my medical skills are, right?" Enru's face changed drastically, and her heart was beating wildly uncontrollably. Of course she knew that Fan Kinjao's medical skills were praised by the emperor, but she didn't expect that he would be so powerful. But now facing Fan Kinjao's gaze that was staring at her closely, she still dodged and said, I don't know what you mean." Fan Kinjao pinched her chin and said, "You are indeed right. I am asking for something for the Hua family, but you are wrong. I am asking for the county princess, not the county king." Anju opened her eyes wide in surprise, and her face that was just a little rosy turned pale again. As you can imagine, I used to be the kind of person who stepped on the blood of others and used whatever means necessary, and stepped on the corpses of others to rise to the top, but now I hate that kind of ruthless and selfish life. Enru looked at the young Fan Kinjao in front of her and felt that she should question it, but for some reason, as long as she looked into those eyes, she felt that there was such a weak rebuttal. Those eyes are so deep that you can't see the bottom, so sharp that they hide their edge, and they are calm, as if they have experienced the vicissitudes of life. Fan Kinjao smiled softly again, "Perhaps you should be lucky to have met me like this. If it were me before, it was just you. I'm afraid my bones would have been gone long ago." He said nothing and turned around to leave. Enru, who was gradually coming back to her senses, had no time to pay attention to Fan Kinjao, but looked at her belly again. No matter what, the child in her belly must not be kept. Anyway, everyone has seen what happened today. As long as she thinks of a way to get rid of the child, she can still drag the princess into the water, along with this hateful Fan Kinjao. Before Enru could finish her thoughts, she stopped again when she saw Fan Kinjao standing at the door. She turned her head and smiled softly, "I forgot to mention that I sealed your acupuncture points with silver needles, so I advise you to take back those little thoughts of yours. After all, you won't be able to move at all within 10 hours. Hearing this, Anju moved his fingers, only to find that his fingers were really numb. He moved his toes again and raised his head again. When Anru realized that she really couldn't move, she was so angry that her eyes were about to burst into flames. Fan Kinjao, you are so brave. Do you know whose way you are blocking the way with so many things? One day you will die badly. Fan Kinjao still smiled lightly in the face of this dirty curse. I don't know whether I will die a bad death in the future, but what I know now is that you will be unlucky if you meet me. Anju was so angry that her eyes were black. She really didn't even raise her breath, but her eyes were black. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 116. Chapter 116, Be of the same mind as the princess. If something like this happened in Heshuo Prince's mansion, it would be impossible for Fan Kinjao to stay any longer. After walking out of the back room, she took the initiative to say goodbye to the princess of Heshuo County. The princess of Heshuo County really liked Fan Kinjao's sensible and steady temperament. She stood up and said, I'll see you off. Fan Kinjao. The princess of the county personally gives each other, this face is really not too big. Sure enough, when Fan Kinjao followed Princess Heshuo out of the outer hall, the servants of the prince's mansion were all stunned. None of the guests who came to the prince's mansion were of high status in the past, but they had never seen the princess seeing her off in person. They had to remember the face of this young lady from the Hua family, and because of this treatment, they would wait for the Hua family in the future. When the foreign lady comes again, they will serve her even more. The princess of Heshuo County looked at Fan Kinjao walking beside her. She liked and felt indebted to him at the same time. She simply took the initiative and said, these days, the confiscation of the Hua family has caused turmoil in the court. The county prince also came back to say a few words. Yes, it sounds like they are all complaining about the injustice to the Hua family, so don't worry, I will definitely mention it to the prince in person when he comes back later. I believe that the prince will be able to help. Fan Kinjao was not surprised by Princess Heshuo's transparency. How can a woman who has been in control of the county palace for decades be an ordinary person? Since they all knew it well, Fan Kinjao simply opened the skylight and said frankly, in this case, I really have to thank the princess. As he spoke, he handed over a letter in his arms. It's for the king. Only the king will know the innocence of the Hua family once he sees it. The princess of Heshuo County did not ask much about what was inside, and after taking it, she carefully put it into her sleeve. Looking up, she saw Fan Kinjao's face was sincere and there was no longer any hypocritical excuse. She felt that the child was pure and honest, and she liked him even more. You and I have the grace to save my life, why are you so polite? Fan Kinjao shook his head and said, I don't dare to ask for favors with a little effort. I am lucky to be able to save the princess. The princess of Heshuo County knew that Fan Kinjao really didn't intend to ask for love, otherwise she wouldn't have taken out the purse she gave her until now. She really appreciated Fan Kinjao's upright character. But when she thought about what was going on in the mansion, the smile on Princess Heshuo's face still deepened. The mansion is in a mess, how can I bring you any good blessings? Fan Kinjao added, I often heard my mother say that only kind-hearted people will encounter obstacles from villains, but kind-hearted people are also favored by God, so no matter what they encounter, they can do it. The one who turns bad things into good fortune and turns danger into disaster. In one sentence, all the unsatisfactory encounters that Heshuo County princess encountered today were attributed to kindness. Of course the princess of Heshuo County knew that these words were meant to make her happy, but she couldn't help but feel very happy when she heard them. It was obviously a flattery, but this flattery touched her heart. When she looked at Fan Kinjao again, Heshuo County Princess held her hand and said, "You girl is so cold and scary when doing things, but you didn't expect that you have a honey-smeared face small mouth." Fan Kinjao smiled and said again, "The princess of Heshuo County is favored by God, so I will definitely take care of my beard." The princess of Heshuo County was stunned, as if she did not understand the meaning of these words. Fan Kinjao blinked. "After all, if you keep your beard straight and the princess of Shuo County, you will please God." Hearing this, the princess of Heshuo County smiled so hard that she could hardly close her eyes. "I really don't know what the eldest daughter of the Hua family ate and gave birth to a daughter, so why is she so lovable?" Seeing that they had already arrived at the door of the house, she was reluctant to let go of this girl's hand. Fan Kinjao didn't want to leave so soon. After all, there were other things on his mind. It's just that this mansion is really not a good place to talk now. She waited until she stepped out of the threshold before saying again, "The princess still remembers when the prince was injured outside." The princess of Heshuo County did not expect that Fan Kinjao would take the initiative to ask about this. After thinking about it, she said, 6 months ago." Fan Kinjao's brows furrowed. As expected, she guessed it right. Looking up at the suspicious Heshuo County princess, Fan Kinjao said truthfully, "Anru's child is already 7 months old." With one sentence, Princess Heshuo was stunned to the spot. "You mean? If the princess doesn't believe it, she can ask some other reliable doctors to take a look." The princess of Heshuo County shook her head. Whether Fan Kinjao saved her or just saved Anru's child, she could not question his superb medical skills. It is precisely this that makes her feel even more mixed. Happily, her husband is back with her. What worries me is that Anru is full of scheming, and there is another mastermind behind it. Suppressing all the thoughts in her heart, Princess Heshuo held Fan Kinjao's hand tightly, not knowing what to say. She did not say it in advance in order to prevent herself from acknowledging her feelings, so she was under pressure to help her persuade the prince to help the Hua family. How could she be so considerate of others? Fan Kinjao knew this, and Princess Shuo had her own plans, so she stopped talking and turned around to get on the carriage. In the last life, she heard that Prince Heshuo was famous for caring about the princess, so she knew that as long as the princess spoke to the prince, the matter would be settled. And since she had accepted the love of the princess, she had to pay it back. At the gate of the prince's mansion, Princess Heshuo waited for the carriage to disappear before turning around and returning to the mansion. When she entered her room, she immediately saw the screen placed inside. Thinking of Fan Kinjao and Anru's words, she walked over curiously. As a result, she went around several times and couldn't see the outside from inside. Even in dimly lit areas, even the figures in the outer room cannot be seen clearly. In this way, the princess of Heshuo County was really shocked. What Fan Kinjao said just now that he saw Anru falling down was a lie? What an amazing girl! He was able to react so quickly in such a short period of time, and he was completely calm from beginning to end. Not only did she hide it from people like her who had watched him for half her life, but even people with deep scheming minds like Anju believed it to be true. She is really an incredible little girl. Princess Heshuo suppressed her astonishment and called the maid guarding the door in. "Go to the front door and keep an eye on it. No matter how late it is, tell me as soon as the prince comes back." Everyone thinks that the Hua family is really doomed without Hua Yaoding and Tao Yuxian. But now she feels that the Hua family may have just begun. There were so many things that happened today. Princess Heshuo sat in the room with bright eyes and waited. Even she didn't know how long it had been since she had been looking forward to the prince's return. "Don't you know that the current Prince Heshuo is not coming back, but he has a family and cannot return? Because he was detained by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 117. Chapter 117 Chasing Girls Requires the Art of War. In the tea house opposite the mansion in the western suburbs, Bailey Fengming was holding a book and reading it carefully. The white robe was as spotless as ever, making the candlelight in the elegant room look much more deserted. He sometimes flipped through the book, sometimes read carefully, and occasionally frowned for a long time when he encountered obscure places. His handsome and three-dimensional facial features were coated with a soft light by the candlelight, as beautiful as a painting. But no matter how beautiful this painting is, the current Prince Heshuo has no time to appreciate it. Looking at His Highness the Crown Prince who was sitting opposite him, completely forgetting himself and looking towards him, Prince Heshuo felt his head hurt. With this scene of his head not opening his eyes, and not saying a word from beginning to end, it seemed as if he was still. If he continued to accompany her, he would probably not even think about going back home tonight. He really couldn't bear it any longer. Prince Heshuo had no choice but to bite the bullet and speak first. I wonder what the Crown Prince wants to talk to me about. If nothing happens, we might as well go home and wash up and sleep. Bailey Fengming still lowered his head. I just suddenly missed Prince Heshuo. Heshuo County Prince. My heart began to turn upside down. Now the Emperor's suspicion is becoming more and more serious, and several princes are starting to make moves. After all, with the Emperor's current paranoia, it is not impossible to depose or replace the prince at any time. It is reasonable for the princes to plan for themselves first. Among them, the three princes were undoubtedly the most jubilant ones. Who could tell concubine Yu to eat happily in front of the Emperor? There were not a few princes looking for him during this period, and he was also thinking about it. It is no small matter to stand in line, and one wrong step can completely lead to death and destruction of the family. It's just that His Highness the Crown Prince is acting too irrationally at the moment. He doesn't talk about the benefits and doesn't show his sincerity. He just says he misses him. What is there to think about for a stinky man who is half buried in the earth? Just when Prince Heshuo was puzzled, he saw Bailey Fengming pushing the book in his hand. Prince Heshuo looked at His Highness the Crown Prince who finally raised his head and was stunned. Bailey Fengming also didn't speak, and just tapped the book on the table again with his slightly curled fingers. Heshuo County Prince. I almost burst into tears. People just give it a look and feel it for themselves. Your Highness the Prince came up to give you this book. How long will it take for him to realize this? Prince Heshuo, who was about to burst into tears, was forced to lower his head. He was wondering if he would have to pass out on the spot to be freed. However, the moment he saw the words on the book, he was completely stunned. All the slump that Prince Heshuo had just felt disappeared. He lifted the book on the table to his eyes, and as he quickly turned over the pages, his whole aura became colder. Only now did he realize that the book His Highness the Crown Prince read was not a book at all. The things posted here are all evidence like confessions one after another. 6 months ago, he was attacked by a sneak attack when he was ordered to go south. When his life was hanging by a thread, he met a woman. The woman not only saved him, but also took great pains to take care of him for more than a month. In fact, he had no such intention at first. He just wanted to take her back to the main city and buy her a house so that she could live a stable life by herself. But just the night before leaving, she toasted him to see him off, and he couldn't help but. What made him even more unexpected was that the woman was pregnant after returning to the main city. He thought about it again and again, and decided to bring her back to the house, intending to give her and the child a title. That woman is Anju, who is now in the prince's palace. Prince Heshuo boasted that he had a deep relationship with his wife. He just didn't want to make a mistake by paying a woman who had saved his life, so he had to take this step, even if his wife was in trouble all day long. But now, everything he saw showed that it was a scam. Whether it's a woman or a child, they are all just pawns to win him over and control him. Heshuo County Prince was going crazy with anger, and the cold air on his body was mixed with a little murderous aura. He is a county king after all, so why is he being treated like a mallet? Bailey Fengming saw that Prince Heshuo's face had turned extremely dark. Knowing that the time had come, he raised his hand and gave 3 high fives. In an instant, the door was pushed open by Xiaoxian, and a man wearing a black mask was thrown in. When Xiaoxian took off the mask from the man's face, Prince Heshuo was startled again. He knew this person. When the third prince contacted him in private some time ago, this person was helping the third prince to convey news to him. Bailey Fengming said calmly, everything mentioned above comes from this person's mouth. If Prince Heshuo still doesn't understand anything, you can ask him directly. After all, Prince Heshuo was a military commander, with a strong, upright, and impulsive temperament. He deliberately delayed just now in order to wear away all the strongness of Prince Heshuo. Only the truth seen after calming down will be more convincing to Prince Heshuo. The man kneeling on the ground lowered his head in avoidance under the gaze of Prince Heshuo. He didn't want to betray the third prince, but His Highness the prince's methods were too cruel, and he resorted to them all because he really couldn't bear it. And it was because she was so guilty that she didn't say anything, and Prince Heshuo also understood. Bailey Fengming pushed a cup of tea in front of Prince Heshuo and smiled slightly. I heard that Princess Heshuo suffered from epilepsy on the street some time ago. Miss Hua's family happened to pass by and saved Princess' life. I think the princess kept silent because she was afraid that the prince would be worried. Prince Heshuo's heart suddenly ached. Is this happening? Bailey Fengming paused and then said, I always felt it was too much of a coincidence when I learned about this matter, so I asked someone to check it out. In fact, nothing important was found. It was just that someone recognized the 3 emperors that day. I just happened to be sitting in the tea house across the street and drinking Huai's tea. The heart of Prince Heshuo that was still hurting started to get angry again. Now he finally knew why the prince said he missed him. If he was kept in the dark for a few more years, he was afraid that he would be played to death by the third prince. How could he not think about it when yin and yang were separated? Bailey Fengming asked, does Prince Heshuo want to see the evidence with his own eyes? Heshuo County Prince. What else are you watching? If you continue reading, you will really get mad. He raised his head and drank all the tea in the cup in front of him. Prince Heshuo stood up and left the tea house. Xiaoxian looked at the way Prince Heshuo didn't say a word and frowned. Will Prince Heshuo really help? He always felt that it was more likely that Prince Heshuo would rush out and kill people now. Bailey Fengming smiled faintly and said, I will help. Since King Heshuo found out that Brother 3 Emperors was not a good man, he naturally bit back. What's going on over there, Ayeo? I went to Heshuo County Prince's mansion 2 hours ago. Bailey Fengming nodded, I'm afraid that the Princess of Heshuo County will be in trouble soon. Concubine Yu's new crown Prince Xiaoqiu can be said to be the fat meat that was given to Prince Heshuo to relieve his anger. So this time Prince Heshuo is not only helping the Hua family, but also for himself. Before getting up to leave, Bailey Fengming looked specifically at the mansion opposite the window before turning around and leaving. Xiaoxian felt sorry for his prince, so he said, Miss Qinjiao is afraid that she will come back soon. Bailey Fengming smiled and said, let's go. Xiaoxian felt even more aggrieved, you tied Prince Heshuo to the Hua family for her sake. She should be moved. Bailey Fengming smoothed his sleeves calmly, those who are good at fighting should first be invincible, then wait for the enemy to become victorious. People like Ayeo seem to be deserted and shut out everyone. But even she herself didn't realize that she was actually very bad at rejecting other people's kindness and kindness. This is her advantage, and it is his only chance to get close to her. Xiaoxian. The resentment he felt just now disappeared in an instant. His Highness is indeed no ordinary person. He uses military tactics to chase girls. From now on, he should mourn for Miss Qinjiao. End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 118. Chapter 118. She is the goddaughter of this county king. As soon as Prince Heshuo returned to the mansion, he was called to the main courtyard by the maid of Princess Heshuo. The princess of Heshuo County had been waiting for him in the middle of the night. As soon as she saw her husband, she quickly told her everything that happened in the house today. The prince of Heshuo County, who had already had a lingering fire, immediately added new fire. I almost burned my hair. With him, he is not only a stick, but also a cheap daddy. Prince Heshuo was so angry that he walked around the room several times before calling the guards around him in. Go to the side courtyard and do it cleanly. He really didn't want to see Anju's face anymore. The guard asked with some leeway, child. Prince Heshuo kicked him over. If you don't understand how to deal with it, you don't have to come back. The guard was kicked for no reason and hurriedly retreated. Not long after, screams came from the side courtyard. Anru, who was still on the bed unable to move her hands and feet, looked at the guard holding her neck tightly, thinking of hundreds of reasons to please the prince, but the only thing she didn't expect was that the prince couldn't even look at her. I won't look at her again. Anju died miserably, her eyes wide open, and she could not rest in peace. The baby who was about to be full term was stillborn. That night, the guards threw the person away and buried him hastily in the back hill without even a head. The princess of Heshuo County did not expect the prince to be so angry, but she also made some guesses. To put it bluntly, Anju is just a woman with no identity and no privacy. Even if she is brave enough, she would not dare to look forward to the county king with other people's children in her arms. Sighed, she just held her husband's hand. Prince Heshuo looked at the lady beside him. As angry as he felt in his heart, he felt guilty. Madam, I'm sorry for you. Don't worry, this kind of thing will never happen again in the future. He swore that he would never be beaten twice in his life. The princess of Heshuo County finally showed a smile. We have been husband and wife for many years, why do we say those extraneous words? But what happened today is really thanks to that girl Kinjao. If she hadn't found out that the month of Anju was wrong, it would have been what can I know. It is really rare for Prince Heshuo to hear his wife praise others like this. Is the lady talking about Fan Kinjao from the Hua family? Princess Heshuo nodded, it's not her. It's a coincidence. Last time I suffered from epilepsy outside. If she hadn't happened to come to rescue me, I'm afraid. Heshuo County Prince was stunned this time. Now that the Hua family is on the cusp of a storm, he does appreciate Hua Yaoding, but he also has to protect himself. But I didn't expect that Fan Kinjao not only saved his wife once, but also this time. Madam, Miss Huajia Y sent something as a gift. Suddenly, a maid came to report outside the door. The princess of Heshuo County really liked Fan Kinjao so much that she quickly let people in. The person who came was Ning Han. He bowed respectfully first, and then put a bunch of things in his hand on the table. This is what my young lady told me to send to the princess. The ones on the left are the ones on the right are for treating the princess epilepsy, and those on the right are for treating the princess's body. The princess was suspicious. Take care of your body. The young lady said that the princess is not childless. It is just because of the cold in her body that she has been childless for many years. My young lady also said that as long as the princess follows the prescription, she will be pregnant within half a year. Good news. Ningan said, and handed over another letter in his hand, and then said goodbye again. The one in Texu who can eat is probably going to wake up soon, so she has to go back and prepare meals quickly. Heshuo County Princess was stunned with joy. She can actually get pregnant. Can she really have a child? With trembling hands, the princess of Heshuo County opened the letter in her hand. It didn't say much, but it clearly stated how to cook and take each medicine, including what to avoid when drinking the medicine. The matters were also given very carefully. Prince Heshuo, who is still calculating how much he owes Fan Kinjao. There's no need to forget it, anyway, the more you owe, the more you owe. Prince Heshuo took the initiative and said, Madam, don't worry, I will know what to do when I go to court tomorrow. There is no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Fan Kinjao has helped so much, so he knows why. Not to mention that he still wants to bite off a piece of the third prince's flesh. Even if there is no such thing as Anju, he can no longer sit idly by and ignore the affairs of the Hua family. Princess Heshuo County came back from the surprise and quickly handed over the letter in her sleeve. This is from that girl Kinjao, saying it can bring peace to the Hua family. Prince Heshuo took it and opened it. His eyes widened after he took a look at it. I really didn't expect that girl to be so capable. How can this bring peace to the Hua family? This is simply planning to kill the Prince of Xiaoqiu. This night, Princess Heshuo had a rare and peaceful sleep. Prince Heshuo, on the other hand, stared until dawn. Even when he stood in the court, his eyes were wide open and full of evil aura. When the ministers who came to the court saw Prince Heshuo, who seemed to be cannibalistic, they all stayed away. Prince Heshuo is a well-known tiger general in the main city. If Hua Yaoding of the Hua family was number 1 before, then he is number 2. In the court, the Hua family is still the object of endless disputes among everyone. The crown prince of Xiaoqiu was in the chief position of the copycat family, and he led a group of ministers who supported the copycat family to make a fuss. Du Ziming, the minister of household affairs, was outnumbered and was soon drowned in saliva. Seeing this, the other ministers in the court remained silent and stopped talking. This situation could not be more obvious now. And just when everyone thought that the Hua family would be raided, a discordant sound exploded. The crown prince of Xiaoqiu can stand and talk without hurting his back. He is obviously the biggest bug in Ziliang, but now he farts and looks at others. Aren't you afraid that his waist will be hurt by speaking too loudly? Such a stingy people can be able to take the rhythm. Looking at the whole hall, there is only the king of Heshuo County. Du Ziming, who was fighting alone, almost clapped his hands excitedly when he heard this. Hello, Prince Heshuo. Just this invincible gait coupled with a breathless temper. It can be said that one man can block the barrier and no one can open it, and whoever opens it will be beaten to death. The crown prince Xiaoqiu looked at Prince Heshuo, who was coming out, and the expression on his face paused slightly. What does Prince Heshuo mean by this? No, right? Didn't concubine you say that Prince Heshuo was about to become one of her own? Prince Heshuo snorted. The crown prince of Xiaoqiu targeted the Hua family in this way. Could it be that he did something shameful and wanted to divert everyone's attention? Prince Xiaoqiu panicked. Prince Heshuo, please don't joke. Prince Heshuo sneered and threw a letter in his hand into the court hall like a bouquet of flowers. In the court hall, there were many joint letters flying in the air, all of which were written to accuse the crown prince of Xiaoqiu. They talked about the ridiculous things that Crown Prince Xiaoqiu had done in the main city in recent years. The words that made Feng burst into tears and hate him to the bone shocked the civil and military officials of the entire court. The number of crimes on this list would be 500 if not 1,000. Would anyone really be so intentional about collecting such things? The most important thing is that it is all signed by common people. This is basically the rhythm that wants to make Prince Xiaoqiu come to fruition. Emperor Yongchang, who was sitting on the dragon throne, was so angry that his face turned green. The crown prince Xiaoqiu was also confused. He never imagined that such a thing would happen. He pointed at Prince Heshuo and made up his mind not to admit it. What does Prince Heshuo mean by slandering me like this? Prince Heshuo raised his thick eyebrows. You are just a prince who is just waiting to die. How can you be worthy of this prince slandering you? If you really want to talk about slander, what kind of goddaughter is the Prince Heshuo leading the court to attack this prince? Mean. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 119. Chapter 119, The king of this county will accept his daughter to do your dirty work. Gan, goddaughter. Where did the goddaughter come from? Everyone in the court was stunned again, and Emperor Yongchang was all suspicious after hearing this. The prince of Heshuo County spoke righteously, Fan Qinjiao is the goddaughter of this county prince. As soon as these words came out, a huge wave was caused in the court. The prince of Xiaoqiu was frightened to death just listening to it. When did it happen? How come the daughter of the guilty minister is the goddaughter of Prince Cheng? This is completely different from what concubine you told him. If he knew that Fan Qinjiao was the adopted sister of Prince Heshuo, he would not dare to be so presumptuous no matter how many benefits were given to him. Zhou Chun looked at the crown prince Xiaoqiu who was on the verge of collapse, and stepped forward to question, this matter is completely unreasonable. I wonder how Prince Heshuo recognized it? The expression of the king of Heshuo County, the king of this county recognizes it now. Zhou Chun. Is this even possible? Prince Heshuo turned to Emperor Yongchang and said, To your Majesty, after verification, all the evidence above is true. If your Majesty does not believe it, or if the ministers present have doubts, you can feel free to do so if you point out one thing, the prince of this county is willing to send people to bring all the people who jointly accuse this crime into the palace and confront the crown prince Xiaoqiu. Emperor Yongchang is lying when he says he doesn't have headaches. It's true that he didn't want to completely crush the Hua family, and it's also true that he was relieved when Prince Heshuo came forward. Whether the Hua family copies it or not is not the important point. The money Fan Qinjiao spends every year to fill his military salary is the most important thing. So he thought it was good that Prince Heshuo threatened to adopt the girl from the Hua family as his adopted daughter. He has always been trustworthy by Prince Heshuo. If Fan Qinjiao really becomes the adopted daughter of Prince Heshuo, it will be more logical for him to get money in the future. But he never expected that Prince Heshuo would play such a big role. Nearly 100 letters of accusation were signed by countless people. If all the people were really called to the palace one by one to confront them, the palace gate would probably collapse. This is the palace, not the market. Looking at Crown Prince Xiaoqiu again, he looked like a coward who was about to pee in fear, and Emperor Yongchang understood in his heart. Presumptuous. Bold. The crime is unforgivable. Emperor Yongchang was really angry. He scolded him 3 times in a row, but he still couldn't calm down the anger in his heart. The crown prince of Xiaoqiu was already a loser. He had already been knocked unconscious by the blow from Prince Heshuo. Now facing the angry look of Emperor Yongchang, he did not even dare to raise his head, let alone sophistry. The mind lying on the ground was blank, and he just kept repeating, Your Majesty, have mercy on me, have mercy on me. Those ministers who had been standing up to Prince Yao and threatening to raid Hua's family, saw this and consciously shut their mouths. Even Zhou Chun, who had just been with Prince Heshuo, retreated into the queue. Even though Prince Heshuo wanted to recognize Fan Qinjiao as his daughter, the emperor showed no reaction at all. It was obvious that the emperor had already made up his mind about the Hua family. In this case, unless they are well fed, they will find trouble under the eyes of the emperor. Look at those princes of Xiaoqiu who have shrunk into quails. They look like they are worthless. They will continue to associate with such people unless they have lost their minds. Emperor Yongchang resisted the urge to beat the crown prince of Xiaoqiu to death with his own hands, and ordered that the matter be handed over to the Department of Punishment for thorough investigation. The Hua family matter was dropped. Anyone who mentioned it again would be punished according to the imperial edict and rebellion. People are afraid of comparisons. The Hua family is certainly a thorn in Emperor Yongchang's heart, but compared to Hua Yaoding, who has numerous military exploits, Tao Yuxian, who has superb medical skills, and Fan Kinjao, who turns stones into gold and fills his military pay. The Prince of Xiaoqiu is a scumbag. He gave him the title of Crown Prince Xiaoqiu, and he also gave him the stability for so many years. Who would have thought that such a person who was indulged by him would be domineering in the main city and oppressing the people? As an emperor, does he have no face? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and Emperor Yongchang ordered another order to raid Prince Rui's mansion directly. This is good. This was originally a crusade against the Hua family, but instead it turned out that Prince Rui's house was taken over by the whole family. When the important ministers left the court, Du Ziming, the Minister of Household Affairs, was so proud that he deliberately blocked Zhou Chun, Guo Yin, and Wu Haoshan in front of a group of people, smiling with joy. You are a bunch of shameless old men who bully the orphans and widowers of the Hua family. You deserve to be ruined along with the Crown Prince Xiaoqiu. Zhou Chun and others were so angry that their heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys all ached, but they could only grit their teeth secretly. It happened that Fan Zixiu came over at this time. Zhou Chun and others couldn't help but said, "Congratulations to Prime Minister Fan, congratulations to Prime Minister Fan." Even Prince Heshuo is rushing to recognize his daughter. Fan Cheng is really giving birth to a good child granddaughter. Fan Zixiu. Why is it that he is always the one at fault? The Hua family incident was finally settled. When concubine Yu learned of the incident, all of Prince Rui's residence had been ransacked and only one gate was left. Once she heard that Prince Heshuo was personally involved in this matter, concubine Yu frowned and looked at Bailey Rongs, who was still recovering from his injuries on the bed. "Didn't you say that Prince Heshuo was under control? Why is everything going well? Did he bite back?" Bailey Rongs looked at his mother-in-law with some displeasure. A few days ago, Fan Kinjao saved Princess Heshuo's life. Now it is unknown that Prince Heshuo will use this incident to repay the favor. As soon as concubine Yu heard these three words, her heart ached with hatred. Fan Kinjao again? He is indeed a restless person, and he just likes to confront me. Bailey Rongs just couldn't figure out why his mother-in-law looked down on Fan Kinjao. Yesterday, a Haoshan came to report that Enru was born prematurely in the prince's palace in the middle of the night and lost too much blood. She lost 2 lives. Prince Heshuo bit the crown prince of Xiaoqiu to death today. Maybe he sensed something. What do you mean? Obviously this matter has nothing to do with Fan Kinjao. Concubine Yu's eyebrows were raised. Are you concerned about her? Bailey Rongs said with a headache, the number of staff around my son is decreasing one by one. Instead of focusing on an unimportant Fan Kinjao when I have time, my mother and concubine might as well think about how to plan for the future. Although concubine Yu was a little angry when her son contradicted her, after thinking about it carefully, she felt that her words made no sense. No matter what, Fan Kinjao is just the daughter of a guilty minister now. Even if she holds the title of Qingping County Princess, it is just a pretense. It would be hunting day soon, so she might as well think about how to go down. Bailey Rongs secretly breathed a sigh of relief when his mother-in-law finally diverted her attention from Fan Kinjao. In this way, he can continue what he wants to do. A little later, Prince Heshuo, who was finally angry, returned to his residence. While eating, Princess Heshuo always stared at her husband longingly. Prince Heshuo was so elated that he moved back to the main courtyard that night. But just when he was about to hug his wife and have a good sleep, Princess Heshuo pushed him away. What's going on with the Hua family? Heshuo County Prince. If he wants to get close to his wife now, it's all about Fan Kinjao's face. Since he couldn't bear to reject his lady's expectant eyes, Prince Heshuo had no choice but to briefly tell what happened today. As soon as the princess of Heshuo County heard that the prince wanted to recognize his daughter, she was extremely happy. She really likes Kinjao's child, and she is lucky to be her goddaughter. However, the princess of Heshuo County has suppressed this matter for the time being. She cannot accept her daughter casually. She must think carefully about how to accept this daughter in a glorious way. She must not wrong Kinjao. Prince Heshuo looked at his daughter-in-law who was thinking about flying to an unknown country. He just wants to hold his wife to sleep. Why is it so difficult? End of this chapter. The legitimate daughter of the prosperous medical fragrance will not marry. Author, Jinchi. Chapter 120. Chapter 120, Kill if you take action. The efficiency of the Shenxing division was shocking. Within 2 days, Crown Prince Xiaoqiu was charged with more than 70 crimes. Emperor Yongchang was furious and ordered not only to behead him but also to parade him through the streets. On the day of Wenzhen, the people in the main city got up early. The vast crowd of people has almost circled the main city. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the prison car slowly drove out from the Shenxing division. The Prince of Xiaoqiu was kneeling in the prison car with disheveled hair, looking extremely embarrassed. Broken things were being thrown in the direction of the prison car like rain, and even the officers escorting the prison car were implicated in it. Prince Xiaoqiu kept shaking his head to dodge, and suddenly, a figure caught his eye. The people around him were all cheering for his beheading, but that man was the only one sitting at the tea stall on the street, acting elegantly and calmly. She was a woman with delicate eyebrows and pleasant facial features. She was holding a teacup in her green-white hands. Even at a tea stall that was not on the table, she was so fresh and refined that people couldn't take their eyes away. Prince Xiaoqiu's eyes were a little straightened. He had been in the capital for so long, and he didn't know there was such a beauty. At this moment, he was even more intent on staring at that person with his eyes. It would be great if he was still alive, and he would definitely bully such a beauty under him. The more Prince Xiaoqiu watched, the more restless he became. Even the body trapped in the prison car began to shake uneasily. At this moment, the beauty also looked in his direction. Prince Xiaoqiu was stunned for a moment, and saw the beauty Dokun slightly hooked up, and asked, "How does it feel to have your home confiscated?" The Prince of Xiaoqiu felt a tremble in his heart, thinking that he had seen something wrong. The result was that the beauty took something from the hand of the maid next to her and shook it towards him. Prince Xiaoqiu took a closer look and his face turned pale instantly. That's a complaint signed by the common people. It was these things that pushed him into the prison car and under the guillotine. But these things are not supposed to be in the court, so why are they appearing in this woman's body now? In vain, Crown Prince Xiaoqiu's eyes widened, and even the red color inside them was clearly visible. He is just living in poverty, waiting to die, but that does not mean that he is a fool. Now look at the beauty, and then look at the complaint in the hand of the beauty. Prince Xiaoqiu knows what's going on no matter how stupid he is. Fan Qinjiao. She was the one who sent the complaint to Prince Heshuo. She also tried her best to win over the people and persuade Prince Heshuo. She even sent him to the prison car and under the guillotine. Prince Xiaoqiu was so angry that his chest felt tight, he was so angry that he was gritting his teeth, but he was so afraid that his crotch was wet. He never expected that he would end up dead in the hands of a woman in his carefree life. And he was even more afraid of Fan Qinjiao's methods. Either he didn't take action, or he would be killed if he did. Fan Qinjiao's eyes were indifferent. As she watched the prison car go away, she moved her lips again and said, "Prince Xiaoqiu, have a good trip." The Hua family is the last bottom line she sticks to. No matter who dares to influence the Hua family, she will do whatever it takes. In the alley of the street, Princess Rui was hiding in a corner wearing coarse clothes. Originally, she planned to send her son off for the last journey today, but she didn't expect that she would see such a truth. Fan Qinjiao. It turned out that she was the one who caused everything that happened in Prince Rui's mansion. Wait for her, she won't make it easy for the Hua family. At noon sharp, the Crown Prince of Xiaoqiu knelt at the end of the street, his head falling to the ground. The Prince of Xiaoqiu, who had been dominating the main city for more than 10 years, finally took his last bite, which was very satisfying. Just 10 days after the crown prince of Xiokyo was beheaded, all the men of the Hua family were sent to the frontier. When Fan Kinjao heard the news, his heart tightened again and again. The day has come. However, frontier is always better than Kangzhou. It is a bit colder, but there is no problem of poisonous insects and miasma. Ninggan, Nanny Su, you two find a few neat maids and quickly sew some winter clothes. The material doesn't need to be too good, but it must be thick. Leave a gap in the sleeves, 1 finger wide enough. After Ninghan and Nanny Su heard this, they immediately went to Zhongluo. Fan Kinjao went directly to the wing of his yard. She was used to medicine and loved making medicine, so she simply asked Ninggan to lead people to organize the place into a medicine warehouse. The cabinets in the room are filled with blood-removing ointments and wound medicines. Fan Kinjao had made these in a hurry in the past few days, but she knew it was far from enough. Borderland is located in the north, with extremely low temperatures all year round, and severe cold winds in winter. She also needs a lot of frostbite cream. Ta Shui, who was sleeping soundly on the table next to him, stretched out and saw that his little master was busy. It blinked, then blinked again. Then he jumped off the table silently and helped carry the ointment out of the pharmacy. It's just that it's too small and can only be carried out one by one. It happened that Ninggan came over with a newly made winter coat. After following the young lady for so long, she understood some of the young lady's thoughts. She didn't need to give any instructions at all. She just took the ointment that Ta Shui took out and applied it to the gaps in the winter coat one by one. Stuffed inside. Half an hour later, Chen Yi arranged for a servant to unload a horse from the carriage and wait at the back door. Fan Kinjao tied everything into a package and carried it all behind him with Hua Yuelian's help. As soon as the weight of the package reached his body, the little Fan Kinjao was pushed forward, almost falling to his knees on the ground. Hua Yulian's eyes were sore with pain, but looking at her daughter who did not even hum but still gritted her teeth and carried everything, she finally chose to remain silent. Her Yu is strong, able to carry the Hua family and everything else. So she should support her silently, instead of using so-called worries to take away the strength she had gritted her teeth to support. Nanny Su was shocked when she saw it. "Miss, you are a female family member, how can you show your face at this time?" Fan Kinjao said, "I am a female dependent, but I am also a member of the Hua family, and now I am the head of the Hua family." Hua Yuelian also looked at Nanny Su and said, "Only when Yu Yater is gone, my brothers and Fen Ning can feel completely at ease and be able to focus on taking care of themselves instead of worrying about the family." Hearing these words, Nanny Su's eyes began to turn red, but she could not say another word. Miss is right, now this is the only way to calm the minds of the young masters. The little lady is young, but she has the ability to make everyone believe in her and feel at ease. Fan Kinjao saw that the time was almost up, so he no longer delayed, carried the package to the back door, got on his horse with the help of Chen Yi, and galloped towards the city gate along the outermost side road in the city. End of this chapter.